Hey folks, it's your boy D here, and I know I've been wanting to do this review on season 2, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. I believe it's titled The Marshal. And I just before I go into season 2, I have to say I truly enjoyed season 1. I found it hit or miss for the most part. Felt very one-off ish. Started to build upon itself at the very end. So going into season 2, it started off the same way, where this episode seems to be very one-off ish, and I have to say I did enjoy it, and it was very well done season premiere. But I couldn't help but just get all of the fan service, as well as a lot of references to other TV shows, other movies, specifically. I'm sure if you're older like me, you'll understand the references, and if you're younger, you'll probably look them up. But ultimately, it was still an enjoyable show. At the end of the first season, you have the Mandalorian, whose job is to find the other race of, for lack of a better term, Yodas, because he's got the Baby Yoda and he's got to take him to his race. And somehow or another, he meets up. I'm not going to go over the whole episode, but he ends up back on Tatooine to find another Mandalorian. And I instantly thought of exactly who, because Return of the Jedi, it was the last Mandalorian there. So I kind of knew where it was going. And I've read some of the books over the years, knowing that Boba Fett, after he fell into the Sarlacc pit, actually had come out of the Sarlacc pit. But that was before, the purchase by Disney, and Disney, saying, hey, everything that was written in the books was no longer canon. So it was, one of those things I didn't know exactly how they were going to handle this. So anyway, watching this episode was interesting. But the thing I thought was pretty cool, I thought was interesting, one, was he's going back to Tatooine again. So here we are in 2 seasons, he's back in Tatooine once again. Heck, I thought he was in Tatooine originally when he was picking up the child. We always seem to be on these arid desert planets. That seems to be a common motif here on this show. Anyway, back to the point. So he goes, and I thought it was pretty cool where we get to see R5 at the hangar. And I have a pretty firm belief that this R5 was the same R5 unit that Luke had passed on when they had a bad motivator and they chose to pick up R2. So I have a feeling that was a little bit of fan service there. Anyway, he ends up on some backwater town, and he meets with the Marshal. So it was a very Western-esque High Plains Drifter, a lot of those spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood back in the day, small town, whatever. And then he meets up with the Marshal, who's wearing Boba Fett's armor, which was comically bad. I'll have to admit, it just didn't fit him at all. Made me chuckle quite a few times. Meet up at the saloon, and and it's played by I think Josh Duhamel, who I think isn't it? No, I get them mixed up. It's either Josh Duhamel or Tilly Oliphant. Those two guys look exactly the same to me. I believe it's the same guy who played in Deadwood. He had the same mannerisms with anything. And a fun fact, the guy behind the counter who plays the bartender, he's in Deadwood as well. He was one of the henchmen for the main bad guy. I forget his name off the top of my head. So that was a little bit of fan service there. And then, sure enough, as the Mandalorian wants Boba Fett's armor, it's about to turn into a showdown, and you can almost see the tumbleweed, blow by. You can almost hear the little whistle, I mean, it was straight out of, like I said, an old spaghetti western. And then all of a sudden, the town gets attacked by, a crate dragon. And for those of you that aren't familiar, crate dragons weren't really brought up in the original trilogy, but one of the cool things about this whole Star Wars universe is how everything has some type of backstory. And I think in one of the scenes you see the skeleton on episode 4 or 6, and they said, hey, it was a crate dragon. And so we're finally introduced to actually what a crate dragon is, and now they have a common issue. They need to kill this thing. And so they, go off and, end up running into the Sand People and working out a deal with them. And then we ran into another bit of fan service there is where, the speeder that the Marshal is riding happens to be one of the engines from Anakin's pod racer. I thought that was really cool. I was like, golly, that thing lasted all these years. So another bit of fan service there. But the Krayt Dragon, obviously, he burrows on the ground and comes up. And you couldn't help but see that scene and immediately think of the Tremors movies. That immediately made me chuckle to a point because it's like, oh, we're doing this. We're copying from other people again. So we go from spaghetti western to Tremors, and you kind of see where this is going. You kind of know how the episode's going to work. And so they work out a plan with the Sand People, and they take out the Krayt Dragon. It was predictable, but it was still well executed, and I enjoyed it a lot. I probably my biggest quote unquote issue with this particular episode was it made the Sand People seem a little bit more humanized. They try to, when I say humanized, try to give them a perspective on their side, because all these years we've just known them to be bad people, and whatnot. But now it's like, oh no, they kind of made them, and I hate to say this, but kind of like the Native Americans, I apologize, of Tatooine. Like they were there first and everybody's kind of gone onto their planet. So I have no idea if that's the actual truth or not, but it kind of gave me that feel like they were being oppressed upon, and that when they attack others, they kind of defended themselves. And maybe that would be an interesting dynamic to them. But I thought for this episode, I didn't really think that this was necessary, and I thought it was interesting that the Mandalorian knew how to talk to them. So it gives me the impression that anybody can just walk up to Sand People and talk to them. And all of our experience in the past, they're just flat out attacking everybody. So maybe if Mandalorian or maybe in other parts of Star Wars will delve into the Sand People and give us a little bit more insight onto how they do things. It'll grow the universe, but this particular episode just, if I had to take a negative, if you will, from this, I didn't particularly, I won't say I hated that part, and I didn't really, really dislike it, but if that was probably out of, an A episode, that was probably my biggest didn't like at all. I like the dynamic of there being an opponent. Not everybody has to get along. Like I said, it was a good episode, but I thought it was strange that since we're back to Tatooine again, how we didn't come across this Mandalorian last time. Okay? Because, when he went to Tatooine in episode 1, I forget the absolute reason why, but I would think, the Mandalorian, the weapon person say, hey, there was one there, or it's been years since, Boba Fett was there, that, hey, go search out for this guy, so, he didn't, I don't know if the Mandalorians read their lore or whatever. I would think with Boba Fett supposed to be, one of the baddest Mandalorians out there, that he would have known Boba Fett was last seen in Tatooine, but he seemed to be quite clueless. So I thought that was kind of I won't say a plot hole, but I had a little bit of a hard time with that one. All in all, still an enjoyable episode. I have a feeling we'll probably come back to this town once again, and as we saw at the end of the episode, we kind of see a shadowy person standing in the back, and I'm wondering if that's the same shadowy person that was at the end of the Tatooine episode in season 1. We'll find out. Anyway, I've rattled way too long about this episode. I enjoyed it. It was a very good episode. Perfect length. A little bit less than an hour. And I want to see more by these. Great fan service. Enjoyable storytelling. And I can't wait to see the rest of the season. So, anyway, tell me what you thought of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, The Marshal. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you have the same issues I did? Or do you feel I'm just nitpicking? Which I am. I will not deny that. But if you want to hear more of my thoughts when it comes to Star Wars, video games, movies, just about anything else, hit that subscribe button. If you like what I had to say, hit that like button. Every little bit helps, folks. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can always follow me at _GXP. I post there every once in a while, randomly, and we can talk together that way. Anyway, that's it for me, and I will post reviews of the remaining episodes of The Mandalorian Season 2. Anyway, until next time, I will talk to you later. Peace.